There is a sound that exists before memory. Not a voice, not a breath, not even a heartbeat. It is the sound of waiting. Most people never hear it. They pass through it like fog, never realizing that fog can watch them back. But some people linger, and when they linger long enough, something listens. The house had been waiting for Vincent long before Vincent ever decided to return. Chapter 1. Paper that smells like a hospital. The letter arrived 3 days after the burial. Not mailed, not delivered, just there. Thin, cream-colored paper slipped beneath his apartment door, as if the building itself had exhaled it. Vincent stood barefoot on the carpet, morning light slanting through blinds, watching the envelope as though it might crawl away if he looked too hard. Alyssa leaned against the kitchen counter, mug of coffee in hand, wearing one of his shirts, and a frown that never fully left her face these days.
"Did you order something?"
she asked. Vincent shook his head, still staring. The envelope looked wrong in a way that had nothing to do with its presence, and everything to do with its weight, the way it seemed too light to hold anything worth saying, and yet heavy enough to make the air around it feel tight. He bent down and picked it up. The paper was smooth, almost waxed, and cold as if it had been kept somewhere without sun. It smelled faintly of dust, and something sterile beneath that. Alcohol wipes, clean linen, the ghost of a hospital corridor. His father's handwriting sat on the front, angular, precise, a man who wrote like he believed any flourish was a lie. Vincent's throat tightened. He hadn't seen that handwriting in years. Not since Christmas cards that felt like obligations. Not since postcards from places his father never explained. Alyssa watched him.
"You okay?"
she asked. Vincent turned the envelope over in his hands, staring at the seam as though the paper might answer him.
"If someone gives you nothing,"
he said quietly,
"is that still a gift?"
Alyssa blinked.
"What?"
He swallowed.
"Nothing."
He slid a finger beneath the flap and opened it. Inside was a single sheet. No greeting, no signature, no explanation. Just one sentence, centered like a verdict. "For a boy to which I owe everything, I give nothing." Vincent read it once, then again. The words did not change. He waited for anger to arrive first. Instead, confusion did.
"A boy."
Alyssa said softly.
"You."
Vincent's laugh came out sharp and dry, the kind of laugh that tries to become a shield.
"It's poetic,"
she offered.
"It's precise,"
he said, and felt a chill even in his own voice.
"He wasn't poetic. He was exact."
He folded the letter carefully, too carefully, as if a crease in the wrong place might break whatever spell had brought it here. He looked up at Alyssa.
"I'm going back,"
he said. She didn't ask why. She didn't say you don't have to. She only asked.
"When?"
Vincent stared at the folded paper in his hands and realized he'd been holding his breath.
"Today,"
he said. Chapter 2, gravel, iron, and the smell of rain that never comes thunder, wasn't heard so much as felt as they drove down the dim road, a pressure in the air that never quite became sound. The drive took longer than Vincent remembered. Or maybe the road had grown. The highway thinned into narrow lanes as trees pressed closer together, their branches knitting overhead. The sky dimmed in that particular way. Clouds do when they aren't threatening rain, only light. Alyssa drove the last hour in silence. Vincent watched the woods slide past, trying to reconcile them with memory. He remembered these trees as ordinary. Now they looked like spectators. Niall lay in the back seat with his head on his paws, eyes open and alert. When the mansion finally appeared beyond the bend, Vincent's mouth went dry. It stood exactly where memory said it would. That should have comforted him. Instead, it felt like proof. The house was tall and narrow, its stone darkened with age. Ivy clung in thick veins, crawling toward the roof like a patient illness. Windows stared outward, unblinking. Alyssa parked at the base of the driveway. The engine idled, a small, warm sound that felt foreign here. Neither of them moved.
"I don't remember it being this."
Alyssa began.
"Big?"
Vincent finished. She nodded. Vincent didn't continue because he didn't either. Niall whined. Vincent turned.
"Come on, buddy."
Niall braced himself against the seat, muscles tight, ears pinned low. He didn't move. Vincent reached back and scratched behind his ear. Niall trembled.
"It's just an old place,"
Vincent said. The lie between them. Niall growled, not at Vincent, but at the house. Vincent opened the car door. The air outside smelled like wet stone. Not rain, there had been none, but the kind of damp that lives deep in foundations and never dries, a basement sealed too long. Secrets. Gravel crunched under his feet, too loud in the quiet. The sound echoed off the mansion and returned warped, as if the house swallowed part of it and gave the rest back. Alyssa stepped out beside him, posture stiff. Vincent looked up at the windows and, for a brief dizzy moment, thought he saw movement behind the glass. Not a person, just a shift, like curtains breathing. He blinked. Stillness. The front door loomed heavy with iron and wood, its handle cold enough to sting. When Vincent slid the key in, it turned too easily. The door opened without resistance. It didn't creak, it sighed. The house exhaled into Vincent's face, cold and dry and faintly sweet. Old paper, dried flowers, something preserved. Vincent stepped inside. Of Chapter 3. The foyer and the clock that can't keep time. The foyer was dim. Light filtered through dusty glass. Dust motes floated lazily in gray beams, slow and indifferent. The air was cold but not stale. That unsettled Vincent more than the dust. Dust suggested neglect. The air felt recent, as if someone had passed through moments ago and left warmth behind, only for it to be drained away. The grandfather clock stood against the wall. Tick, tick, off beat. Vincent stared.
That clock.
He murmured. Alyssa glanced at him.
What about it?
It never worked.
Vincent said. She frowned.
You told me it stopped when you were 12.
Vincent hesitated.
I did.
She nodded.
You said your father never fixed it. Said he liked the sound.
Tick, tick, tick. The sound was louder than it should have been. It didn't fill the room. It filled him. Vincent swallowed.
Maybe I misremembered.
The words tasted wrong. Niall patted in behind them, nails clicking on marble. He sniffed the air, then sat abruptly, blocking the hallway as if his body alone could stop something from coming through.
All right,
Vincent said quietly.
we'll take it slow.
Alyssa's gaze moved along the walls.
There are no pictures.
Vincent blinked.
What?
Frames.
She said, pointing.
But no pictures. It's like he removed them.
Vincent looked. She was right. Empty frames lined the walls, dusty and bare, like eyes with the pupils cut out. The house creaked. Not above them. Not beside them. Behind them. Vincent turned. Nothing. Distant turned. Nothing. Just the closed door, the dim light, the ticking clock, and Niall staring at a corner that looked like every other corner. Alyssa exhaled slowly.
Okay, let's find the will. Or whatever your dad left besides riddles.
Vincent touched the letter in his pocket. It felt colder than it should. Chapter 4. The kitchen that still smells like soup. They went to the kitchen first because it was the only room that felt like a human being had once lived there. Dust coated the counters, but beneath it Vincent could see the ghosts of use. Rings where mugs had rested, darker marks where knives had cut too deep. The sink smelled faintly of metal, old pipes, iron, and something else. Chicken broth. Vincent stopped breathing for a moment. Alyssa noticed.
What? What?
It smells like...
Vincent began, then stopped. Like childhood. Like evenings when his father still attempted normalcy, making soup in silence and offering a bowl with a hand that never trembled. Vincent opened a cabinet. The hinge creaked, loud and protesting. Inside, bowls sat neatly stacked. Alyssa ran a finger along one and lifted it. Dust smeared her skin.
Everything's arranged like he left yesterday.
She whispered. Vincent didn't answer. The pantry door stood slightly ajar. He pushed it open. The shelves were bare. But at the back wall ran a long vertical scratch, deep and uneven, as if something had been dragged. His heart jumped.
Vincent.
Alyssa called. He stepped back and closed the pantry. He didn't tell her. Not yet. Chapter 5. The hallway that stretches. The main hallway ran down the center of the house like a spine, doors branching off on either side, dark wood, brass knobs. Vincent's footsteps echoed, but each echo returned delayed, distorted, as if the hallway had to decide whether it wanted to give the sound back. Alyssa walked beside him. Niall stayed close behind, so near Vincent could feel his breath against his calf. They opened doors. A sitting room draped in white sheets, furniture shaped like bodies at rest. A library lined with books that smelled of mildew and vanilla. A small music room. The piano lid closed, dust thick on the keys. Alyssa lifted the lid. A soft scrape. One key pressed itself down. A note rang. Not bright. Hollow. It lingered too long. Alyssa froze. Niall whined. Vincent felt the hair on his arms rise. Alyssa lowered the lid. They left the room without speaking. Chapter 6. The Study and the Box. The study was where Vincent remembered his father most clearly, a man shaped by exhaustion, staying up late beneath a lamp that always burned too bright, staring at papers that never seemed to end. The desk was still there, dusty, unmoved. The lamp sat beside it. Vincent turned the knob. Click. No light. Alyssa moved to the shelves, fingers tracing spines, then she stopped.
There's a gap.
Vincent looked. One shelf showed a rectangle of cleaner wood, as if something had been removed recently or repeatedly. Alyssa pressed her hand against the panel. The wood gave slightly. She pushed. A hidden latch released with a soft click, and a narrow door swung inward. Cold bloomed in Vincent's chest. Inside sat a box. Plain cardboard. Sealed with tape. Alyssa crouched.
Do we open it?
Vincent nodded. She tore the tape. Inside were files, medical documents, charts, handwritten notes. Vincent lifted the first page. Subject: redacted observation. Narrative stability maintained. Interferential. Environmental reinforcement successful. Warning: exposure to origin memory may result in destabilization.
These are about him.
Vincent said quickly.
My father. He had to have had therapy or...
Alyssa turned the page. A photograph slid free. A child's bedroom, blue walls, a bed made too neatly, a mirror, and in the mirror's edge, barely visible, a boy standing in the doorway. Vincent's breath caught.
I don't remember this room.
Alyssa's voice was careful.
You told me once you had a blue room.
Vincent looked at her sharply.
I did?
She nodded, slow.
You said your father repainted it after something happened.
The house creaked, a sound like a sigh moving through the walls. Alyssa kept reading, her face drained of color.
Vincent.
He looked. In the margins, his father's handwriting. If he asks, redirect. If he remembers, reinforce. If he leaves, retrieve. A sound drifted down from upstairs, a child's laugh. Too soft, too close. Niall's growl rolled through the room. Chapter 7. Grocery store lights and old names. They drove into town that evening. Alyssa insisted.
We need food. An air that doesn't feel like it's watching us.
Vincent didn't argue. The town was small, older than it had any right to be. Streets narrowed as they went, buildings leaning close together. People looked up when the car passed, their attention lingering a beat too long. Inside the grocery store, fluorescent lights washed everything pale and sickly. Vincent grabbed a basket and moved through the aisles on autopilot. He felt eyes on him the entire time. At the checkout, the cashier stared. Her name tag read, Mara.
You're back.
She said. Vincent blinked.
Sorry?
Mara's gaze flicked to Alyssa, to Niall, then back to Vincent.
I said,
She repeated, quieter now.
you're back.
Vincent forced a small smile.
I lived here as a kid.
Mara nodded slowly, fingers moving over the items with deliberate care, as if speed would be disrespectful.
I'm sorry about your father.
She said. Vincent's throat tightened.
Thanks. Thanks.
Mara hesitated, then leaned forward just enough to be noticed.
Don't go into the West Wing.
She whispered. Vincent froze. Alyssa stiffened. Mara straightened, suddenly bright.
That'll be 2486.
Outside, the sky was darker than it should have been. Alyssa asked.
Did you know her?
Vincent shook his head, but the name Mara sat familiar in his mouth, like a word he'd spoken long ago. Chapter 8. The Librarian and the Newspaper That Isn't There. They went to the town library the next day. It was small but warm, dusted in a friendly way, the air smelling of paper and lemon cleaner. An older librarian looked up from behind the desk. Her eyes narrowed, then softened.
Vincent.
She said. He stopped walking. Alyssa touched his arm.
Do I know you?
Vincent asked.
You were taller the last time I saw you.
The librarian said gently. Alyssa asked.
Do you have archives? Newspapers?
The librarian nodded and led them to a back room. Vincent followed, feeling as though he were walking behind his own shadow. She pulled a file box from the shelf and set it on the table.
This is what you want,
She said.
but it's incomplete.
Why?
Alyssa asked. The librarian hesitated.
Because your father paid to have certain issues removed.
Vincent felt cold.
Removed?
We're small town.
The librarian said.
We remember things. But money changes what people are willing to forget.
Vincent opened the box. Inside were clippings. A headline, Local Tragedy at Crestwood Estate. Child missing after accident. His breath caught. The article was torn, names missing, details blacked out.
Is the child me?
Vincent asked. The librarian looked away.
I don't know.
She said. The lie sat heavy between them. They left without checking anything out. Outside, Niall refused to enter the car until Vincent was seated first. Chapter 9. The West Wing. Vincent couldn't sleep that night. The house was too loud in its silence. Every board felt poised, every wall leaning closer when he wasn't looking. The grandfather clock had stopped. Vincent noticed at 2:13 a.m. The silence was worse. He rose quietly as Alyssa slept on with one hand curled as if holding a thread. Niall lifted his head, but Vincent motioned for him to stay. Niall didn't listen to the command. They moved down the hallway together. At the end stood a door Vincent didn't remember. Not hidden, but present. The knob gleamed, recently polished. The West Wing, he thought to himself. Vincent hesitated, then turned the handle. As the door opened, cold poured out, not air, but density. The corridor smelled of mothballs and flowers left too long in water. The carpet swallowed sound. His footsteps made no noise. Niall remained outside the room, refusing to enter. As he entered the room, the door closed behind him. Assuming it was a draft, Vincent reached for the knob. It didn't turn, causing his stomach to twist with fear. He took a moment to observe the room. On the far side waited a blue door. His knees trembled with a fear he didn't recognize. He didn't remember the room, but his body did. Despite a deep-seated feeling to resist the door, he pushed past it and continued. Inside, the room was immaculate. Blue walls, a bed too neatly made, and a mirror on the wall. The smell sweet and sterile. Vincent turned to the mirror, and for one breath, his reflection wasn't him. It was a boy with bare feet and wide eyes. Then, without a pause, it was gone. He continued to observe the room. On the desk lay a sheet of paper, a piece of paper that was fresh, as if placed there recently. On it was displayed a single line of text, if he remembers, reinforce. When he looked back, both doors were open. Niall was looking at him with terrified eyes. Without hesitation, he rushed back to his room. Chapter 10. Alyssa's Confession, Almost True. Vincent woke Alyssa at dawn. He told her everything. She listened without interrupting, fingers gripping the blanket tighter with each detail. When he finished, she was quiet. She took a moment to think about something as Vincent looked at her, clearly desperate for a response.
I need to tell you something.
She said. Vincent waited.
I don't have any photos of you as a kid.
He blinked.
Sometimes your stories don't line up.
She continued.
It's like you're describing someone else's life.
Vincent didn't know how to respond. He stared at her with confusion in his eyes. It all started to feel so confusing. Niall whined softly. The house creaked. Low. Patient. Chapter 11. Someone or something unknown. Vincent woke to breathing. Slow. Close. At first he rubbed his eye, then scanned the room. Then a shadow. No, someone. Too tall. Too still. Someone stood at the foot of the bed. Vincent expected fear. It was there, but another emotion was louder. Familiarity.
Hello?
He said. Fear was not present in his voice. The figure leaned forward, proportions wrong, like a person built from memory instead of flesh. Then it stepped backward into darkness and vanished. Vincent lay back down, wondering if what he saw was real. Fear felt familiar, and it was starting to realize. Alyssa slept beside him. Niall growled, then whined. Chapter 12. The Sound of a Haunted House. They explored by daylight. Most of the house seemed normal. Some things were consistent with Vincent's recollection. Others surprised him. As they passed through the dining room, they entered a music room. Alyssa immediately noticed the piano. It was covered in dust.
Whoa, this is a really nice piano. Do you play?
She said. Alyssa lifted the piano lid and dust bloomed. Vincent responded.
No? Dad always said Mother was gifted. He didn't like when I touched the piano after she died.
She responded in a soft tone.
She would have loved it if you played.
She pressed a key and a note rang, then another note. The notes brought back a memory. Something Vincent couldn't quite see, but it remained on the edge of his mind, just out of reach. The sound lingered longer than the previous note, as if holding a syllable. Alyssa brushed off the dust from several keys with care.
I didn't know you played.
Vincent said, questioningly.
I don't, but always wanted to.
Alyssa responded. She closed the lid and they left the room. Behind them, the piano played a final note. Soft. Chapter 13. The Study. As they entered the study, the air became more dense. Niall whined, clearly uncomfortable.
I was never allowed in this room.
Vincent stated. The shelves were covered in books. Books Vincent had never seen. He read a couple of the titles as he passed by. Finding Yourself Among the Smoke. The Dead Live On. Biology of the Occult. Then a particular book grabbed his attention. It had no name. It was red, and the cover was smooth, a symbol etched into it. This symbol was of a boy trapped behind bars. He stared at it for far too long. Another memory out of reach, but filled with so much emotion. He could feel tears starting to fill his eyes. Alyssa broke the moment.
Look what I found.
He rubbed his eyes with his sleeve.
I'm coming.
Chapter 14. The Recorder Behind the Shelf. She found the recorder behind the bookshelf in the study. An old cassette player, dusty but intact. The buttons moved smoothly, as if they'd been pressed recently. The tapes were stacked beside it, each labeled only with a date. No names, no explanations. Just time, sealed in plastic. Vincent's hand hovered over the first tape. Alyssa said,
Maybe we shouldn't.
Vincent swallowed.
We're already here.
He pressed play. Hiss. His father's voice filled the room. Not the clipped distance of phone calls, but something closer. Intimate in a way that made Vincent's chest tighten.
Subject displays improved narrative cohesion today. House remains responsive. No emergent anomalies.
Alyssa whispered.
Subject?
Vincent stopped the tape, then started it again, as if repetition might change the words. It didn't. He played another.
Memory alignment holding. Environmental reinforcement successful. If he asks questions, redirect.
Alyssa's voice shook.
This isn't therapy.
Vincent nodded.
It's management.
Another tape.
If he remembers, reinforce. If he leaves, retrieve.
Vincent turned the recorder off. The silence afterward felt heavier than sound. Vincent realized then that his father hadn't been recording for himself. He'd been recording for whoever came after. Chapter 15. Dawn in the Hallway. Vincent saw the boy at dawn. He stood at the end of the hallway as if he belonged there. He was small, barefoot and pale. Vincent stopped walking. The boy smiled, but the smile felt like grief. Not fear or surprise. Grief so sudden it stole Vincent's breath.
I know you.
Vincent whispered. The boy's eyes were too old. Niall barked, sharp and violent. The boy flickered, like a reflection disturbed by water, then vanished. Vincent's legs gave out. Alyssa knelt beside him, holding him as he cried without knowing why. When Vincent looked up, he realized she wasn't looking at him. She was staring down the hallway with recognition. Chapter 16. The Journal Under the Floorboards. They found the journal beneath the master bedroom floor. The boards lifted too easily. The pages were filled with his father's handwriting.
I failed him. I could not let him remember. The truth would destroy him.
Vincent read until his throat burned. He found a passage.
He was there. He saw it. He can't carry it. I won't let him.
There was an accident.
Vincent whispered.
I did something.
Alyssa didn't answer, and that silence said more than words. Chapter 17. The Door That Locks Behind You. Vincent returned to the West Wing not because he wanted to, but because something in him felt pulled, like the house had hooked a finger into his ribs. Alyssa insisted on coming. Niall followed, growling low. The corridor smelled of flowers rotting in water. The blue door waited as Vincent pushed it open. The room was unchanged, neat and cold. On the bed sat a stuffed rabbit. Vincent's chest tightened. He didn't remember owning it, but the sight closed his throat like grief. Alyssa whispered his name.
Vincent, I'm here.
Vincent turned to the mirror. His reflection blinked. Late,
Why does it do that?
he asked. Alyssa didn't answer. On the desk lay a new sheet of paper. If he doubts, reassure. The house creaked, a sound like weight shifting. The boy stood in the doorway, but he didn't flicker this time. He raised a finger to his lips as if telling him to be quiet. Niall lunged as the boy vanished. The door closed. Locked. Chapter 18. The Iron Door. They found the iron door, hidden behind scratch marks gouged deep into the wall. Niall refused to approach. Vincent touched the handle. Cold burned his skin. The door opened easily, and behind it, stairs descended into darkness that felt wet. At the bottom waited a room that was not a cellar but a laboratory. A chair faced a mirror. Notes covered the walls. Vincent looked into the glass. Again his reflection blinked late. Alyssa covered her mouth. On the table sat the recorder, a tape already inside. Chapter 19. The Tape That Ends the World. The tape hissed. His father's voice was tired. Careful.
You did not survive the accident.
Vincent swayed.
Your body didn't. Your heart didn't. Your lungs didn't.
Alyssa sobbed.
Something remained.
Vincent felt the house pull. The final words of his father's voice etched realization into his heart.
For the boy to which I owe everything,
A short pause ensued.
I give nothing.
The boy appeared in the mirror behind him, calm, waiting. Chapter 20. The Walk Upstairs. They climbed the stairs slowly. The house strained around them. Vincent knelt beside Niall, burying his hands in warm fur.
I'm sorry.
He whispered. The clock was silent. Vincent turned to face Alyssa. She wasn't there. Niall wasn't there. The walls began to catch fire. The wallpaper burned away. The house exhaled as it began to finally lay down and rest. As he walked toward the house's front door, Vincent spoke.
So this is what I am. Not a man, not a son, a story repeated until it learned how to breathe. I can feel everything. That's the cruelty of it. The house is tired now. I think it's ready to let go, and so am I. If this is the moment after breath, then let it be quiet. Let it be honest. Let it be nothing.
For a boy in a house that no longer existed, silence.